So they say that money can't buy happiness. Why do we all want so much money then? We think that money's going to make us happy. And then we get some money and we still feel stressed out. And we might lose it again. And then we need more to be happy. What about this? How could we be both happy right now and have all the money we need and want at the same time? It all starts with our money mindset. Today, we have the privilege of interviewing one of the foremost money mindset experts in the world. Pericles Rellas is here to teach us how to foster a money mindset that is going to make our life absolutely amazing. Let's rock. Welcome to the Good Mood Revolution. I'm your host, Matt O'Neill, and I've spent the last 15 years mastering the art of lasting happiness. Look, happiness isn't just a feeling, it is a skill, and it's a skill that you can learn and master. This show is your training ground. Let your Good Mood Revolution begin now. Money, the root of all evil. At least that's what I was told. I grew up in a household, we didn't have money. It was like this thing that really bad people had. And my dad, he resented people with money. If you had a nice car, he thought that you must have cheated to get it. And our car had a hole in the bottom. We put a piece of plywood over the hole so that we didn't have to be the Flintstones and have our feet get taken off when the car happened to go over like rocky roads or something like that. Our house had a hole in the wall. Like we could see through the living room into my parents' bedroom because there was a hole there. We didn't have the money to fix it. Oftentimes, I would get a new pair of shoes. So not often, but when I did get a new pair of shoes, they were the nicest thing I owned. And so I would never, ever, ever wear them because I didn't want to mess them up. And by the time I went to wear them, they were too small. But this was kind of my relationship with money growing up, was that we didn't have it and that bad people had it. So then when I became older, and you think money's the root of happiness, like this is, if I could just get that beautiful house, or if I could just make this amount of money a year. For me, it was if I could make $100,000 a year, well, then I would be so happy. And I learned a long time ago from a guy named T. Harv Eckert that we all have what he called a money container. And we're going to be discussing a concept that's kind of similar to that today. He said your goal is to raise the size of your money container. And I focused on that. But to get to that point of raising the size of my money container, I first had to unprogram all of the negative money mindsets that I had from my dad and my upbringing. And so exciting because I was able to do it. And when I did it, all of a sudden, more money started to be in my bank account. I stopped living paycheck to paycheck. I did make that $100,000 a year. Then I set new money goals, accomplished those. And now, am I happier because of it? I don't know if that's the case or not. I do know this. When we don't have a lot of money and we are paycheck to paycheck and something breaks, it's really stressful. And it's hard to be happy when we're stressed out. So I've got a money mindset expert today, and he is here to show us how to break these negative money stigmas that we might have had growing up. His name is Pericles Rellas. Pericles, welcome to Good Mood Revolution.
Matt, thank you for having me on. I'm really thrilled to be here.
So you say the same as I say, that we can have these negative money mindsets that hold us back. What are these negative money mindsets?
Well, you actually spoke to a few of them in your opening story, which was incredible. You spoke a lot of what I experienced in my life growing up, and I think a lot of your viewers are going to have similar experiences when they were very young, where around them they had people who had these negative thoughts about money. It's the root of all evil, or if you've got money, you probably cheated to get your way there, or something similar to that. And I think for all of us, we want to look at what are those negative relationships, those negative thoughts we have about money? Because ultimately, we can't become that which we resent. And as you said, your dad resented the wealthy. If you're someone who's listening to this and you have thoughts of, the wealthy are bad, the wealthy are evil, what you're doing is you're limiting your own ability to become wealthy. Now, the first thought most people have is, well, I don't want to be that wealthy. Well, the universe doesn't make that distinction. It's black and white. You're either wealthier or you're not. That's how easy it is. So if I give you a penny, you are now wealthier than you were a minute ago. And thus, you cannot become wealthy if you're someone who resents the wealthy. So start to look at what are those negative thoughts that you have around money.
Yes, this was, and so another one of my big role models was my older brother. And my older brother also had a lot of judgments about people with money. He still does. He called them yuppies. They weren't cool, right? So they weren't cool. And then I wanted to be cool. And I definitely wanted my older brother to think I was cool. And so he was another one of these influences that I kind of had to unprogram, because I didn't want to be seen as somebody who was uncool in my role model's eyes, my brother's eyes. So, and sometimes it's our parents, right? So now for me, my dad wasn't somebody I wanted to emulate. So it was a little bit easier for me to unprogram some of his garbage thinking about money, that, everyone with money is bad. I started to actually, I was a real estate agent and I would go meet people who had money, and some of them were super kind and generous and so loving and so caring, and some of the nicest people I'd ever met. And I'm like, well, this isn't a bad person. So I was able to undo that. But then I had this other thing of, well, I don't want to be seen as uncool in my brother's eyes and be what he would call a sellout. Right. And I didn't want to be a sellout and become the man. These were things that he would put down a lot, was the man and yuppies. And so how do you overcome those type of negative stigmas?
It's important to first notice that you have those conversations. There are some that are easier to identify. Money's the root of all evil. That one, we can start to see that that's not necessarily the case. As in your example, you meet people who are wealthy, who are really kind, they're generous, they worked hard to earn what they have, and they appreciate what they have. But there are the subtler conversations that actually are the ones that are the most impactful on us. And in my life, my example is when I was a little kid watching, I'm going to date myself here, a show on the rich and famous and how their lives were horrible. And my mom said, without any venom or any malintent, just as in passing, I never want to have that kind of money because you'll lose your whole family.
Wow.
Now, that wasn't making other people bad or judging other people. It was actually a judgment about money and a concern of having money and losing your family. And in that
so
moment,
you never want to lose your family ever.
Exactly.
Ever.
As
so
a
you're
7-year-old, you're thinking, you don't want to lose your family.
I'll never have money.
Family.
Yeah, I'll never have money because I love my family so much. So I will never have money. And this is kind of what was going on with my brother and me, is that if I became one of the people he despised, I would lose my relationship with him.
Right.
Which is not something I wanted to do.
Exactly. And we don't always see those kinds of subtleties in our money mindset. And so it's important for us to really sit down and look at what are those things that show up. And I have my clients do an exercise, which I think will give you and your audience something to work with. And it's a very simple thing that you can do. Go get a whole bunch of cash. We don't interact with cash as much as we used to anymore. In fact, many people can go weeks and months without ever touching a dollar bill or coins or anything like that, simply because we have Tap and we have Venmo and all those ways of paying for things. Go to the bank and withdraw a bunch of bills. I don't care what denomination they are. They can be all singles. They can be fives, tens, a combination of everything. But you want to have a lot of them. And then sit down for 5 minutes every single day and just interact with the cash. No distractions, phones off, alone, nobody around, where you're safe, and just interact with the cash. Play with it, count it, touch it, however you want to interact with it, interact with it. And then when you're finished with those 5 minutes, write down from two perspectives. One, as you were interacting with the cash, what were your thoughts, feelings, and emotions? What was your experience around interacting with the cash? And then the second place is, now that you've completed the exercise, what are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions about having done the exercise? So one's as you were doing it, and the other ones now that you've completed it, looking back on it. This will start to give you some real in-depth insight into your relationship to money, because our relationship to money is everything. If we have, like you said, this concern about, oh, I don't want my brother to not think I'm cool or not to love me, or I don't want to lose my family, those things will limit your ability to earn money and keep money. So do this money exercise, and I promise you, you'll start to see those things. And the negative ones, you want to notice and then let go of them. Oh, wow, I had this negative emotion or thought or opinion or judgment about money. I can own that, and I can let it go as well. And then once you've let it go, replace it with something new, something that's generative. In other words, I'm declaring in this moment that I love money and money loves me, and I appreciate what it can provide for me in my life. It can be whatever you want, but that's just a simple example of it.
That's a beautiful affirmation. I really like it. And there's another kind of negative mindset that I had about money that that maybe is still lingering. We'll see. It there was a presentation done by Ed Milet, and I had a chance to talk with Ed about it. And Ed was saying that he belonged to a club of billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be billionaire status to get into this private club that he belonged to. And he said it was the most miserable group of people he had ever been around. And in a similar story, Gary Keller, I was hearing a conversation from Jay Papasan, and Jay wrote the book, The One Thing, with Gary. And Gary said he will never hang around someone who says that you can either have $1 billion or you can have a great family life, but you can't have both. Because the thought there is that in order to get $1 billion, you'd have to work so many hours that you wouldn't have time for a great family life. And this was also the thought that my brother was kind of imposing on me, which is he would say things like, I would much rather be around to fix a broken bike and teach my kid how to ride the bike and teach my kid how to fix it than work so much and give my kid the nicest bike ever, but not have time to teach him how to ride it. And it's this either or kind of thought pattern, that either I can have time to teach my kid how to ride a bike, or I can have money, but I can't have both of these things. Either I could be a billionaire or I could have a great family, but I couldn't be a billionaire who has a great family. And I think that either or mindset is just incorrect and not true. The wait is finally over. The Good Mood Revolution book is officially available for pre-order on Amazon today. You can go to Amazon and look for Good Mood Revolution book. And in this book, you're going to find the 8 bad moods that get in the way of your happiness. You're going to learn strategies on how to overcome each of these 8 negative thoughts. They're all lies anyway. And then what the thought patterns are that make us happy every single day. You're also going to learn strategies that can make you really feel fulfilled in your life and make other people around you feel fulfilled as well. So go on Amazon, look for Good Mood Revolution book, and order yours today. So let's talk about happiness. There's one of the famous money mindsets, and this is the Good Mood Revolution. Someone's here right now listening to feel good. But there's this like really famous money mantra, which is money can't buy happiness. So what's the relationship between happiness and money?
This is it is the foundation of what a lot of people think. If I can get X number of dollars, I will be happy. I'm here to tell you, happiness comes from here. When we're connected to our higher self, when we're connected to who we are as a human being and the things that are most important to us, the people that are most important to us, what happens then is we find happiness wherever we go. If you notice, there are some people, they're just happy everywhere they go, no matter what they're doing. If they're having lunch at a Taco Bell or at a food truck, or if they're having dinner at a really nice fine dining restaurant, they're happy. It doesn't make any difference. Find happiness for yourself. And then as money starts to come, the things that you buy with money will, look, I have things all around me, the painting behind me. They bring me joy and happiness when I look at them, but I don't need them to be joyful and happy. So there's this fine line of I need something to be happy, Or I want to have this thing in my life because I love having it in my life. I love looking at it every morning. I love enjoying my coffee. But if I don't have it, doesn't mean I'm not happy. So once you find that balance, you'll find more joyful things come into your life and you enjoy things more on a regular basis. So fooling yourself into thinking money will bring me happiness is a road to disappointment, is a road to unhappiness. Find happiness wherever you are. And then when those things come into your life, appreciate them, love them, show gratitude for them. And that happiness will amplify and multiply over and over again.
Yeah, I write about this in my book, The Good Mood Revolution, about how I was chasing money for happiness.
Right.
Growing up without it, I thought, boy, I'd look at the kids that I thought had the silver spoon, the kids that could afford to go on a vacation, the kids that had the new backpack, that had the cool clothes, right? And I would see them and their parents were together and looked happy. And I just had this thought like, hey, these wealthy families are happy families. And so in my childhood mind, I thought I'll be wealthy one day and then I'll be happy. And so I was chasing money to fill the happiness void. And I achieved the money and the happiness didn't show up. It's kind of what you're saying is what you're saying. But it was great. It was great because I learned that lesson and I got out of the hamster wheel before I became the unhappy multimillionaire or the unhappy billionaire who stayed on the hamster wheel, continuing to do the thing that wasn't making me happy, thinking it would make me happy. Right. The wake up to me was, okay, well, if this isn't creating happiness, what is? And here's the reason that our brain tries to become happy by chasing more money. The brain just wants us to survive. And it thinks if you hoard more resources, you will then survive better. So our ego brain puts a carrot out in front of us and says, just keep hoarding more resources. The more you get, I'll promise you, I'll make you happy at that point. But we can't be happy in the future. As you beautifully said, we can only be happy in this moment, in the now. Right. I've also found that the happier I am in the now, the easier it is for me to create abundance.
Yes. And it's all about imagining what it is money will provide you. So if you're somebody who says, if I get that new car, I'll be happy. If I get that new house, if I'm making $100,000, I'll be happy. Okay, great. Well, let's work with that. Imagine you've got that right now in the present. What would that feel like? Feel that right now. It's very much like what Abraham Hicks talks about, the law of attraction. If you can start to vibrate at that frequency right now, you're going to have what you ultimately wanted without ever having it, which is happiness. You want to have that happiness? Great. Have it right now. Experience being happy without the thing that you think will provide you with the happiness. Then you've got the happiness. And then when that thing comes up, it's just like icing on the cake. It makes it even more profound.
So in my book, I cite a study that almost 2/3 of Americans are somewhat financially insecure or very financially insecure, meaning they're about paycheck to paycheck or maybe just a little bit better or a little bit worse. That's 2/3 of Americans.
Right.
And in the study, it also shows that those 2/3 of Americans experience the most stress, the least amount of peace in their lives. And the 1/3 of Americans who are just outside of paycheck to paycheck or maybe beyond that and have 6 months of savings or something like that, have more peace and less stress. To me, I think peace is a component of happiness. So wouldn't we say that getting out of this financially insecure position that most likely is created because of our money mindset would increase our happiness or at least our peace of mind?
I think that it can increase a sense of peace of mind. Look, as I said earlier, that I was very, very close friends with a very wealthy family. They were in the top 10 on the Forbes list when I knew them, and they had no security around money. They were constantly putting them in situations where they were grappling with, okay, I need to figure out how to pay for this, or I've got this crisis coming up. So it isn't necessarily the money that's going to provide that security. It's our mindset around it, that no matter what comes up, I can handle it. No matter what happens, I'll be able to deal with it. And then managing how we interact with money every single day in a way that no matter what happens, I'll be able to take care of it. A lot of people say, oh, you need to have an emergency fund. This is a great one. I love to hear this. You need to have an emergency fund, and you need to have in that emergency fund a minimum of X number of dollars. Well, people who have emergency funds have emergencies. Yes, because you're setting yourself up for emergencies. We get what we focus on. Stop creating emergency funds. Create a wealth fund.
I like it.
Create a prosperity fund and put money into that every single day.
A vacation fund.
Exactly. And then when something unexpected occurs, because things will come up that are unexpected, you'll have the money you need to cover that. But when it's time to go on vacation, as you said, you'll have the money in that vacation fund. And then you'll be able to go on vacation knowing how much money you can spend on that vacation, and then put it all on a credit card. And when you come home, pay that credit card off using that vacation money. It eliminates all the stress and anxiety around going on vacation. Here's what most people do. They think, I'm annoyed. I've been working hard. I deserve a vacation. I have no money to to go on vacation, so I'm going to put it on a credit card. So they put this, however much it is, on a credit card. They go on their first day of vacation. They're so happy and relaxed. Second day of vacation, they're starting to think, wow, this is costing me a lot of money. Is my credit card going to get declined if I put this on that? I'm worried. And then they spend the rest of their vacation worried and stressed about when the bill's going to come when they come back from vacation. Then they go home and they've got this huge bill that they now spend 5 years, 10 years paying off for that vacation that they deserved. It was never experienced the way it was designed to be experienced. Imagine now planning for your vacation, putting that money aside, knowing you have X number of dollars, going on vacation, knowing it's paid for, going home, paying it off. It's a whole different experience. When we relate to money that way, suddenly we have a different experience of life. And it's all about how we approach it and our money mindset. So
I want to shift gears just a little. One of my favorite quotes. So I studied a lot of this. As I said, I thought that the path to happiness was wealth. And since all I wanted to do was to be happy, I'm like, I really better study everything I can about how to become wealthy. Jim Rohn said, if you work on your job, you'll earn a living. If you work on yourself, you'll earn a fortune. And he said that the harder you work on yourself, the more valuable you become in the marketplace. What are your thoughts about like really investing in our own self-development in order to increase our wealth?
There's nothing more valuable than who we are as an individual, as a contribution to the world. I found that the more desire we have to contribute to others, the more fulfilled our lives are. And how we contribute to others is by expanding our own capacity in the areas that are important to us. So if you're somebody who works in a specific field, understand that field, grow in that field. We're either expanding or we're contracting. There is no stasis. There's no standing still. So whatever it is you do, if you love that thing, grow and expand your capacity around that. You were talking about T. Harv Eker earlier and the vessel. We only have the capacity based on our own vessel. And he's talking about expanding that vessel. So if you've got a glass and it's raining money and the glass is only so big, you can only collect so much money. Well, what do? We either complain or we get a bigger glass. And what that looks like in our lives is expanding our own capacity around money, expanding our own capacity around joy and happiness. Well, what is it that makes me joyful? What is it that brings me happiness? Do more of that. Find that place in your own self. I like to equate our relationship with money to a relationship with a significant other. If we treated and related to money the way we treat and relate to our significant other in a healthy relationship, not in an abusive relationship, but in a healthy relationship, imagine what our relationship with money would be like. If we treat our significant other like, you need to be here when I need you. You need to do what I want you to do. When I don't need you, I don't care. You're not providing me enough. All the things we do with money, that relationship would be over very, very quickly. But if we appreciated our significant other every time they showed up in our lives, every moment that they were with us, suddenly that relationship would blossom. It would become better and better. It's the same thing around money. Appreciate it. Expand your ability to get better and better with money. And you will find that your life will get better and better every single moment.
Are you looking to take your happiness to another level? If you're looking to be more successful, we need to be happier because success and happiness go hand in hand. But sometimes we get stuck in thought patterns we don't even know are holding us back. And we need a coach or a mentor to see things we can't see with our own eyes. I've had coaches and mentors help me access levels of happiness I couldn't have achieved without them. I'm now offering that same service to a small, select number of people. If you think one-on-one coaching could elevate your happiness, go to mattoneil.com and click the coaching tab to learn more. I look forward to talking with you. What else should the person listening to this show? So sometimes, I talk with people that have some blocks with money, and sometimes they're just like, you don't understand my situation. You don't understand what it's like for me. And then other times people are like making kind of what they want to make, but they hate their job. And they're doing something they totally resent as a slave to money. Right. What do you say to that person that's enslaved by the paycheck? That's like basically a whore for money, whoring themselves out, doing something they hate in order to get this paycheck?
I think there are two places to look. First place I'd look is, did you always hate that job? Or did you at some point go into that job thinking, this is the job for me? And then it shifted. That's a simple mindset shift where what happened, where suddenly it went from this is the job for me to I hate this job and I'm a slave to this job and I'm whoring myself out just to get this paycheck. And then shift that mindset. Oftentimes there's something that will happen and we have a judgment or opinion about it. Oh, wow, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. They're not the same person that I thought they were. And we can go back and we can reshift our mindset. Just like it got shifted one way, we can shift it another way. We are the captains of our own lives. When we're pointing this way, there are three fingers pointing back. And that's the only place to look. That's where power comes from. That's where freedom comes from. When we look at ourselves as the source of everything in our lives. And our mindset is a really big part of that. So look to see, where did it shift? And then shift it back and fall in love with your job again. Start to find the things that you do that you love about it and embrace those things. Because when we embrace the negative, what happens is it becomes everything. We get more of the negative. It gets more mass. Let go of that negative and start to create the positive around it again. Focus on that positive. And then the second thing is, if it was a job that they always hated, they knew they were going to hate, at some point, it became something they surrendered to and they were never going to get out of. That's another mindset. Shift that mindset. Like, you know what? I took this job because at the time I needed it. I needed the money. Now it's time for me to create the revenue stream that I want. Wake up every morning and ask the universe. I request that the universe put in front of me the job of my dreams, the work of my dreams in an easy and clear manner so I can recognize it. And then wake up every day, say that, and then look for it. Don't just expect it to show up. Look for it. Be watching for those opportunities because they will show up. And if we don't notice them and seize them, then the universe is just going to say they're really not interested. And so I'm going to stop putting it in front of you.
They weren't serious about that.
They weren't serious. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I put it right in front of your face on a piece of paper. I put it on the television. I put it on the radio. I had your friend mention something. When you were at dinner, the waiter said something about it. Right. And you've ignored all of those signs. You weren't really interested in changing. You were just interested in complaining about it. So
exactly.
And I like both of those. I love both of those answers. And a lot of
Great.
times we are in a job we dreamed of. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, as a child, I always dreamed of running a company. Always. I was a kid. I just wanted to be president of a company. I don't know why. I just did. I just kind of had a dream of it. And then lo and behold, I'm president of a company, and it took a lot of time. And there's things as a kid I didn't know went along with being president of a company, right? Such as 80 different personalities that are part of my sphere, and then not all of them are happy, right? And then sometimes there's people that leave, and then when they leave, that hurts my heart. And so these are some of the challenges. And when I focus on those challenges, I do lose fact that this was my dream, right? Running this company was my dream. And I love reconnecting, as you have beautifully put it, reconnecting to why did I want to do this in the first place? What lit me up about it? And what lit me up about it was the idea that I could make a huge difference in a bunch of people's lives in this. I wanted to make the hard decisions in the hard times. I wanted to be the general that was on ground floor when things weren't going well, and steering the ship in the right direction. And now when things don't go well, which happens sometimes, it's just life, I resent that I'm having to make the hard call. Like, oh, the pressure's on my shoulders. Why is the pressure on my shoulders? And I'm like, oh, I asked for this. This was my dream job. And then the other thing I think is really beautiful too is that prayer. That prayer or that intention that you're putting out there. Hey, universe, God, show me what I'm meant to be doing. I will keep my eyes open for it, and I will act if you could just show me easily and clearly. I love that intention.
Yeah. And it's important. You said this, and I want to emphasize it, underline it. It's important for us to remember that having a joyful, happy life doesn't mean that there aren't moments that we have to deal with that aren't joyful and happy. It just means it's one element. And oftentimes we throw the baby out with the bathwater and think, oh, this thing happened, my life sucks again. No, this is part of having this growth and expanding life. This is part of being the president of a company. Sometimes there are things that happen that break our hearts. Sometimes there are things that happen that we wish wouldn't happen, or we have to make the tough decisions, but that's all part of the whole. Bring all of that along with us rather than saying, oh, my life is over, my life sucks again. No, this is part of having that extraordinary life, is sometimes making those tough decisions and sometimes having things happen that we wish wouldn't. Who do we get to be in the face of making those choices? That's what defines us as human beings.
I love it. I love it. And another thought jogger on that is, even the job you think is your dream job, somebody isn't happy with it right now. So you want to be a big time rock star and play on stages and have everybody screaming your name. Taylor Swift, like my children and my wife, they love Taylor Swift. She's a billionaire, self-made billionaire. Everyone loves her. Not everyone, but a million, billion, whatever. People love her.
Right.
She's the most celebrated artist of our time right now, and selling out all these concerts. Do you think that she loves every aspect of that? Of, I don't feel like going on stage tonight, and yet 100,000 people are waiting for me. I've got a cold and I just want to sit in bed and eat some soup. But instead, I have to go and stand on this stage and sing these songs I've sang a million times over and over and over again tonight until midnight. There are times Taylor Swift hates being Taylor Swift.
Right.
And so it doesn't, and I'm just using her as an example of what if somebody would say, oh, I'd trade places with her in a heartbeat. Every single person has aspects of their job that they don't enjoy.
Right. There are people that would trade places with any one of your viewers right now to have the life that they have. They pray every night for that opportunity as a blessing. And so look at it from that context. You bring up Taylor Swift. I was just watching an interview with her, and when she was talking about, I go from my apartment to the car and there are just throngs of people, and I'm trying to go out and just have lunch with my friends. And I know I have to put on a face and I have to smile and I have to wave, and I'm not doing interviews, and I just go to the car. She said, but then I get home and I'm with my friends and I can let my hair down and I can wear the comfortable clothes and I can say the things I want to say and enjoy my friends and what we're doing. Find those moments. And yes, there are times we have to do things that we don't always love to have the life that we want. Have integrity when we're doing those things. Allow ourselves to do them the best we can, but appreciate the overall life and blessings that we have, or else it'll all start to go away and become just one big horrible experience. And that's
And
not
it's
what I
not.
want
It
for
doesn't
anyone.
have to be. In fact, I love to think of waking myself up any moment I'm feeling negative about any of these things, is to say, what, going back to the very beginning of the show, choose to be happy now. The
Mm-hmm.
only time we can be happy is in this moment. So if I'm getting negative about a challenge my company's going through, I have the opportunity right now to say, well, wait a minute. I'm alive in this moment. I
Mm-hmm.
get the chance to breathe in this moment. Not everybody gets that chance. 100,000 people died today. I get a chance to walk on two legs. Not everybody can do that. I get a chance to be a father to children I always prayed for. I have a chance today to make a difference in this company. I am going to choose to be happy for all of these things. And now
Right.
I'm ready to face this challenge. And
Yeah.
Taylor could do the same thing. The day she doesn't want to put her makeup on and look perfect in front of the paparazzi, she can say, I'm living the life of my dreams. And I'm going to smile as I get in this limousine and have the best time waving at the paparazzi because I have a chance to do that today. And if you're listening to this, the times when your mind goes negative too, you don't have to go with it. You can choose to be joyful in this moment, regardless of what you're facing. So, Pericles, I've loved this. This has been such a fun, uplifting, happy money conversation. There are people that are listening that are going to say, man, I got to learn more. I want a better relationship with my finances. How would they learn more from you?
Yeah, they can visit my website. They can go to periclesrellas.com, or they can go to resetyourfinancialthermostat.com. They both go to the same place. I have a free masterclass. If they want to sign up for it, they can watch it. The 4 keys you need to know to reset your financial thermostat. It's free and it's a great opportunity. It's a great resource.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. And y'all, thank you for listening. May you be abundant and happy. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode with Matt O'Neill.